Try to remember your third birthday, not a photo you've seen 100 times, not a story someone told you afterward. The actual moment, the sounds, the feeling of being that small, in that room, surrounded by those people. You can't. Almost no one can. And here's what should genuinely disturb you about that. You were awake. You were conscious. You were forming memories, learning language, feeling joy and fear just like you do now. Your brain simply erased almost all of it, on purpose. So let's start at the beginning. Not with memory, but with a strange, unsettling gap that neuroscientists have a name for: infantile amnesia, the near-total inability of adults to recall specific events from roughly the first 3 to 4 years of life. Here's what should surprise you. This isn't because nothing happened during those years. Some of the most intense learning of your entire life took place then. You went from a newborn who couldn't focus your eyes to a walking, talking, socially aware small human in less time than it takes most adults to master a new hobby. And yet, almost none of it survived as retrievable memory. For decades, scientists assumed this happened simply because a young brain wasn't developed enough to form real memories at all. But that's not what the evidence shows, and this is where everything changes. Studies on young children reveal something strange. Toddlers can accurately describe events from months earlier, in vivid, specific detail, if you ask them at the right time. A 3-year-old can tell you exactly what happened at a birthday party 6 months ago. The memory exists. It's accessible. It's real. But ask that same child the same question years later, as an adult, and it's simply gone. Not faded. Gone, as if it never happened. So the question isn't whether young children can form memories. They clearly can. The real question, the one that should genuinely unsettle you, is why the adult brain seems to systematically delete them. Neuroscientists studying this point to something happening deep in the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for converting short-term experience into long-term, retrievable memory. Here's the part that sounds almost like science fiction, but isn't. During early childhood, the hippocampus is undergoing an explosive rate of neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons, far faster than at any later point in life. Research suggests this rapid neuron growth may actually interfere with the stability of existing memory networks, essentially overwriting or restructuring the very connections those early memories depended on. Think about what that means. The same biological process responsible for your brain growing, learning, and developing at an extraordinary rate may be the exact same process responsible for erasing almost everything you experienced while it happened. Your brain wasn't failing to save your childhood. It may have been sacrificing it, deliberately, as the cost of building itself. But there's a second, even stranger piece to this puzzle, one that has nothing to do with neurons at all: language. Researchers studying memory development have found a striking correlation. Children's ability to retain long-term autobiographical memories appears closely tied to their language development. Before a child has the words to organize an experience into a coherent narrative, "We went to the park, Grandma visited, I was scared." That experience may exist only as fragments, sensory impressions, with no structural scaffolding to hold them together for later retrieval. Here's the terrifying part hiding underneath that finding. It suggests memory, real, lasting, retrievable memory, isn't just about what happened to you. It's about whether you had the linguistic tools to translate what happened into a story your future self could later access. An experience without language may be almost impossible to fully retain, no matter how emotionally significant it felt in the moment. Which means somewhere in your earliest years, you likely experienced real fear, real joy, real love, fully and completely. And almost none of it survived, not because it didn't matter, but because you didn't yet have the words to save it. And this is where the story becomes genuinely uncomfortable. Because if memory depends this heavily on narrative structure, what does that say about the memories you do have? Psychologists studying autobiographical memory have found something unsettling. Memory isn't a fixed recording. It's reconstructed every single time you recall it, pulled together from fragments and reshaped slightly by your current emotional state, your current beliefs, even conversations you've had about the memory since. Some studies suggest people can be led to sincerely believe in detailed memories of events that never actually happened, simply through repeated suggestion. Which means even the handful of early childhood memories you think you do have may not be pure recordings at all. They may be reconstructions, partly built from photographs you've seen, stories you've been told, assembled by your adult brain into something that feels like memory, but functions more like a story you've quietly co-written with everyone around you. That should sit uncomfortably in your chest for a second. The version of your earliest self that you carry around, the one you believe defines where you came from, may be, in meaningful part, something your brain constructed rather than something it truly remembers. But here's what's strange and oddly reassuring about all of this. Even though the specific memories vanish, researchers have found that early experiences don't disappear without a trace. They appear to shape something deeper and less conscious emotional patterns, attachment styles, baseline feelings of safety or anxiety that persist long after the actual events are gone. You may not remember being comforted as an infant, but researchers studying early attachment suggest your nervous system may still carry the emotional residue of whether that comfort reliably came. So here's the full picture. Your brain didn't fail to record your earliest years. It was too busy building itself, growing new neurons at a rate that may have quietly dismantled the very memories those years produced, while you hadn't yet developed the language needed to lock them into permanent storage. What's left isn't a gap in your history. It's the price of becoming a functioning, conscious mind at all. You will never remember your third birthday. Not really. Not the way you remember yesterday, but somewhere in the deepest architecture of who you are, in the way you flinch, or trust, or seek comfort, that erased chapter is still quietly running the story. You just can't read it anymore. You can only live inside what it built. If your brain has been hiding your own beginning from you this entire time, imagine what else it's quietly shaping without your permission. That's what Yedd is for. Like this video and subscribe.